Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This morning we discussed sad truth Harry and Meghan's relationship. Is Harry really happier than ever? And the other news, Queen's financial nightmare. Let's discuss it with me now. Finding Freedom is a book written by journalists Carol Duran and Omid Scobie about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Although the rumor that the book has no input from either Harry or Meghan, they approved its publishing. Prince Harry and Meghan left the royal family on March 31st after a decision to officially stand down from their roles as senior royals. And Finding Freedom author Omid Scobie told Vanity Fair that Prince Harry was thriving in his family and professional life. But is Harry really happier than ever in his new life? Although on the surface it may seem as though Harry is happier than ever in California, Energy Insights reader and body language expert Allison Ward disagrees. Miss Ward says, "Based on recent pictures, I am so sad to say it is clear Harry is far from the happiest he has ever been. He looks sad and confused. His eyes have lost their Harry sparkle." One source said, "He lost a lot of friends in the military community in the UK, and of course he misses them. This is a very strange time for us all, but I think Harry is missing having a structure to his life right now. He doesn't have friends in LA like Meghan, and he doesn't not even have a job. So at the moment, he's a bit rudderless, but it will not always be like this, and he does know that." But speaking about the Duke of Sussex's recent milestone, royal commentator Ingrid Stewart said, "He can celebrate his birthday on a high. He's embracing his new life and everything is an adventure right now. He has moved on very quickly." Ms. Stewart said she was surprised by Harry's decision to exit the UK, as he had always been especially fond of British life, but added he doesn't do anything by halves. As part of his exit deal from Britain, Prince Harry had to give up a number of his treasured military titles. Prince Harry can no longer use titles including Captain General of the Marines, Honorary Air Commandant, Commodore-in-Chief, and Youth Ambassador after Megxit. A source said, "That's been a tough pill to swallow, and the one that has been most painful to Meghan to witness him go through. It's the one that has made Harry most emotional. And his time to return to his old lifestyle is quickly running out." According to Patrick Jepson, who worked for Princess Diana between 1988 to 1996, he told Vanity Fair, having reached the same age at which his mother died, Harry has arrived at a point of no return. Life on the American public stage is now his destiny unless he decisively turns away from it. The time to do so is fast running out. We must hope that he hasn't weighed his options stupidly. Meanwhile, more news about the royal family. Queen's financial nightmare. How public fury saw major changes to royal funding. In the spring of 2010, Sir Alan Reid, the keeper of the Privy Purse, went to the then Labour Chancellor, Alistair Darling, with the plan to replace the controversial civil list with a new form of a grant to cover the Queen's official duties. What Sir Alan proposed, in a nod to an idea first put forward in 1989, was that funds come from profits of the Crown Estate, a highly profitable collection of lands and holdings that historically belonged to the monarch but had been surrendered to Parliament at the start of each reign since the time of George III. Back in 1989, the then Lord Chamberlain, Lord Arley, and the royal courtier Michael Peet, who became Prince Charles' principal private secretary came up with the plan to fund the royal household directly from the profits of the crown estate, thus removing the need for horse trading over the silver list and parliamentary rolls about how much money the government should give to the Queen. But would Margaret Thatcher's government buy such a radical move? To make the decision easier, the Treasury agreed to set up a secret working group on the future of the civil list. It laid out the 4 options: remain with the traditional funding system of an annual parliamentary vote, revert to a previous system with a 5-yearly vote, move to fund from the Crown estate on a 5-yearly basis, or option 4, the preferred solution for the royal household and perhaps most radical, direct and long-term funding from the Crown estate. The high-powered committee of Whitehall officials and senior courtiers met for 4 times in late 1989 before concluding the royal household preferred plan would raise constitutional issues which Minister May wished to avoid. In other words, a select committee would have to meet to consider whether the Crown estate could legitimately be used in this way, thus being forced to inquire into the Queen's personal wealth and taxation. It is not clear how Miss Thatcher's government reacted to the report. Official papers from the period remain heavily redacted, but at some stage in early 1990, the palace radical plan was quietly shelved and the civil list remained in place to be funded on a 10-yearly basis. However, the final report did contain an important piece of new information about the legal status of the Crown estate. Contrary to the widespread belief that the Queen still owned the land in some personal capacity, and as such had a right to reclaim its rental income if she wished, the report stated it was not a private landed estate in the most unequivocal terms. In other words, the money was not the Queen's but the Treasury's. Fast forward to 2010 and Sir Alan Reid's fresh bid to radically change the system of funding the Queen and the royal household. In the event, Gordon Brown's cabinet thought it better to postpone such a political sensitive decision until after the May 6 general election. But Labour lost and the Conservatives, led by David Cameron, formed a coalition government with the Liberal Democrats. The new Chancellor, George Osborne, was now able to attend to Sir Alan's proposal, and discussions started immediately because the deadline for the civil list 10-year review was about to expire. The funding reserves were almost depleted and the royal household was running on empty. In the event, Mr. Osborne saw the logic of Sir Alan's plan to link Crown estate profits to royal finances. He was attracted by the idea of linking funding to a sort of measure of growth in the economy. In other words, if the Crown estate did well like the rest of UK, then the royal household funding should benefit accordingly. However, its real appeal was that it kicked a long-standing continuous issue out of politics. Instead of having parliamentary row each time new funds had to be agreed and voted on by MPs, from now on the money would go through almost automatically without a whimper. In the words of one commentator, it was a neat solution to try to take the heat out of a pay raise for the Queen and all the annual suffering. The new Chancellor made sure he squared his scheme with Labour before he went public. The new sovereign grant would be financed by 15% of the profits of the Queen estate. It would never fall below the previous year's grant, and if its reserves reached more than 50% of expenditure, then would be deducted the following year. The National Audit Office would be allowed to inspect the books, and royal trustees would review whether the Crown estate was providing the correct amount of money. It was a win-win for the Windsors since their income climbed in line with the rising Crown Estate revenues, which remained well above the rate of inflation. From £31 million in its first year, the grant grew to £36.1 million in 2013 to 2014, £37.9 million in 2014 to 2015, and £39.8 million in 2015 to 16, a rise of more than 25% in 3 years. It turned out to be a generous settlement, acknowledged David Cameron somewhat blithely in his memoirs. But not everyone was happy. The former Labour Minister Chris Bryant, MP, argued, "At a time of austerity, I feel as if my constituents have had to pay much more of a price than the royal family." Some now wondered whether it was correct to link the Queen's paid package to the income of a property portfolio which was hardly representative of the economy as a whole. The government believed there were sufficient checks in the system, and if the grant was too high, it could be corrected at the next 5-yearly review. When this date arrived in November 2016, some commentators anticipated the royal trustees, Theresa May, Philip Hammond, and Sir Alan Reid, would lower the 15% figure. In fact, they went the other way and raised it to 25%, thus appearing to bear out the warnings of Labour MP Ian Davidson in 2011, that the grant would be on, as it were, a golden ratchet, a bit like EU expenditure. It would always go up and never down. That is my news today. How do you feel about it? Please leave me your views in the comments section and we discuss them together. Please like and share my video for anyone you think they also loved it like you. And don't forget to subscribe to the Sussex Daily News team to get more video news in the future if you haven't subscribed. Now, thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you in the next video.